Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. My name's Nick. I'm Dan's partner in the Daniel Tompkins vocal coaching website. Before we get started and we bring Dan into the webinar room, I would just like to check that everybody that is here can see and hear. Okay, so in the chat widget on the side of the screen, please, I can see a few comments already, but please, if you could just let me know that you can see and hear me okay. Please just comment in there and just let me know. Loud and clear. Okay, that's great. We're going to run for about an hour. So please, you can start to type some questions into the chat screen. And Dan will pick some questions from you guys and chat a little bit about whatever arises throughout the webinar. And that's it. So without further ado, I would just like to hand over to Dan. Dan, are you there?
Ta-da! How's it going, everybody? All right, I'm just going to flip this screen. So hopefully all of you should see me in the main screen, and Nick is down here in the bottom right-hand corner. If there are any tech issues that we have, please just comment in, and he will endeavour to answer anyone's questions, and also anything to do with the website. He is here on hand to help out as well. So send in your questions, guys. We've had one so far, and I'm not seeing many other questions. So today's webinar is going to be really nice and relaxed. I'm sure we'll touch on a few things vocal coaching, but today is really a Q&A about everything. Obviously, the vocal coaching site is a brand new platform that is active now. Obviously, you can head over to the website. I'm sure most of you already have done to have signed up here today, daniel-tompkins.com. Really happy with how it looks. It's really straightforward, really simple to use. If you're not a member yet, I've already done a video, so you've probably seen it, but we have a link to podcasts and a link to blogs. The list of blogs and podcasts in those two drop-down menus is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as the weeks go by. We've got like a back catalogue of an absolute ton of podcasts and blogs. Podcasts on everything relating to singers' lifestyle, mechanics of breathing, mechanics of the voice, and it's all very easy to digest. It's not overly difficult. This is it's a very approachable website for everybody, every level of singer. I'm sure that if you're a pro singer, you could come to this website and you could get some good perspective. If you're a beginner, it's absolutely perfect as well. I'm pretty sure, Nick, just stop me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure everyone here today would have signed up and joined on the website to have received an invite to this webinar. But if you know people that are looking for vocal coaching, and or if you know any friends or family that are interested in this kind of stuff as well, interactive, pre-recorded lessons, everything you can think of, then do spread the word. That's a really important part of this. We are now a community. And that's massively exciting for me. So, Nick, are you there? Can you just answer that question for me?
I'm here, yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There may be some people here on the webinar who have just signed up for the webinar and not necessarily have seen any of the stuff that may be happening. So just to let everybody know, no need to panic. Everybody that's signed up for the webinar and everybody that's watching the webinar now is now on our email list. When you've signed up for this webinar, you've automatically joined the list. In the coming days, there will be an email that will be sent out with the third video in a free video series, and you can go back and watch the other previous videos. So if you're here on the webinar, you don't need to do anything. However, if you're watching on YouTube or you're watching a replay at a later date somewhere else, I would urge you just to head over to daniel-tompkins.com, the homepage, or you can go directly to the join page. I've put the link in the chat here. Anybody just wants to click on that, feel free to sign up on there, just in case you're concerned that you may not receive anything. So that's all everybody needs to do, really, to be notified of the launch, which is imminent. It's happening now. So
Cool. Cheers, Nick. Thank you.
cool.
Right. So I'm just going to start answering a few questions, get straight in there. So this is a really cool little chat thing going on here. So I can see all the little questions because I've got a question mark on them. Great. One from Tim. Tim, your surname's not on there, so don't know which Tim you are, but you are Tim. Dan, will there be vocal sheet books released for Polaris, like there are guitar books and drum tabs? Working on it at the minute. That's something I also want to incorporate into the vocal coaching site, because I am an active singer, touring singer in a band and in different projects. So not only am I coaching, I'm also doing it for a living. So there's going to be back catalogue that people might want to learn. I'll be very honest, I don't really use sheet music at all, but I can see the benefit for some people. It's quite interesting, and yeah, it will be available. Not right now, I'll be very honest. It will be a while before that does come out, but I am working on it. Okay, so that's I hope that answers your question, Tim. Okay, excuse me, I've just had my dinner. I'm a little bit windy. Okay. Question from Brian. Does Tesseract record music first and then have you write lyrics and vocal melodies last? Or are your vocals a big part of the writing process in the first place? People work in different ways, obviously. Personally, I think a song ends up being a lot more cohesive when music is written either around or inclusive of the vocal writing process. That being said, Tesseract has never done that. So, for one reason or another, time pressures, handing in albums and records to the label. I have to say that Ackle is the main songwriter in Tesseract, or has been for a long time. We're now working in a very different way for the next album, where we're all getting involved, we're all contributing ideas. But what normally happens is that the music will get written first, and the nature of the music, it hasn't always been complex. There are some straightforward songs, on Polaris, but when there is a complex idea, it's very wise to leave that a little bit, because it will take me a long time to learn, the different timings of phrases and timings to certain parts in the music. So if I just go ahead and I write and I dive in and I write a full vocal idea to that, the chances are that the music is going to change, and that's going to ultimately upset the dynamic of what I've written. So I normally wait until a little bit longer, unless we've got an established idea, and I'll just get straight in there. But the downside of that is that I'm last in line. So if the guys take a long time to write the music, and then I'm left with 4 weeks to hand in to do my bits, because we've got to hand in the album, because of how the music industry works. Like, because we're signed to a good management company and we've got agents, they're planning things a year or 2 years in advance, and they're taking us on a real growth track. So we kind of have to keep our end of the bargain, so that we can reap the rewards of working with the people that we work with. So if we were to miss a deadline for whatever reason, it can be flexible. But we don't want to miss out on big opportunities. And when you're in a band and you've got a bit of success behind you, any band, to be honest, if you've got a business structure behind you, once you have momentum and you develop a fan base, it's all systems go. You don't want to take your foot off the pedal, because an inactive band can take many steps backwards, and it can take you years to get in a position where you ultimately are gaining traction and developing relationships and getting good record deals and good offers, working with good management and agents, and so on and so on. So, kind of going off on a bit of a tangent there, but on the new record that we're on, I am working with the guys very closely and putting ideas vocally in very early. So we have like hours worth of maybe 1 minute, 1 minute and a half seeds. When I say seeds, I mean little, pocketed ideas of music that I've given vocals to. And I think that's just been a great starting point for us all, because now the guys are working collectively, and they've got me in it at a very early stage. So, and that for me, that's really good because I've felt quite fresh over the last 6 months or so. So a lot of the ideas that I've been producing, I'm very happy with, and I'd be I'd be a little bit upset if we didn't use some of the ideas that we've already recorded. To me, it's a waste. I don't like to waste vocal ideas. You get some people that will just write an idea, they'll put it away in a folder and they'll forget about it. And then they can end up with folders and folders of music that never gets used. Like honestly, Tesseract's back catalogue of demo music, hours and hours and hours worth that have just been overlooked and unused. And we, as a band, we still go back and listen to every now and again to these old folders that we have, and we're like, why did we never use this idea? It's just like some of the, you listen, like at the time, demos can not work for one reason or other. They don't sound right or don't feel right. But then I've got to say, having gone back to some of the older ideas, I'm like, wow, yeah, these are crazy. So I hope that answers your question. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit. Don't want to waste your time too much. Okay, this is a really one-way thing at the minute because I'm not. I like to speak to people, so when I do lessons, I'm obviously having it's a two-way conversation. So please, guys, keep sending me comments in. Tell me if this is great, if all the signal's doing great. Let me know what my volume's like as well, because this is the first time we've done this. And one thing me and Nick are quite big on is wanting to improve everything about what we're offering people. I mean, this vocal coaching site and the material that we've recorded, it's been a constant refining process. Like there are whole batches of like green screened videos that we did maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and having gone through the process of putting all this together, I've kind of gone back over a few of these big batches of sessions and gone, that doesn't work for me now. It doesn't come across well. It doesn't feel right. Maybe it's not informative enough. So yeah, it's we want your opinions on everything to do with this vocal coaching site. And this is great because 71 people on a first webinar all across the world. We're really developing a great community. This is an opportunity for us to all get together and feed off each other and learn from each other. And as a vocal coach, I am not the be all and end all. Okay, I've spent a long time learning and studying and teaching. I've been doing it for many years now, but you never stop learning. So the more I learn, the more you guys are going to learn. I'm going to feed everything to do with singing back into this website. This is a bit of a legacy for me as well. So when I'm an old, wrinkly man, these videos will still be in circulation, hopefully. if I'm still going. But that's the thing to do with singing, right? I've got to kind of like throw this in there. Voice conservation is absolutely huge for me. I mean, I've worked very long and very hard to be in the position that I am, and I know I said this in a video that you might have watched on the site. But even just have this room, right? This room that I'm in now. This is this is a family investment. So me and my wife lived in a 2-bedroom semi-detached house for 10 years while I was in Tesseract and everything else. And we had Jack, our oldest boy, who's nearly 4. Then we had Joel, and we decided, okay, now's the time to uplift, move, get a bigger house, and actually create a solid recording room and teaching room so that I can make a business from home. And this room is a fully suspended room that used to be a garage. So we've invested in it. So, get people invest in cars and things that they want. I invest in a good workplace because singing is so important to me. And I want to be doing this until I'm no longer here. So, when I'm an old man, I still want to be using my voice. And that's important because your voice is yours. You only have one of them. So you've got to really look after it. And you're going to learn some amazing things in this website of how to care for your voice. Cool. And just as I was looking at the comments, there's a question come in that says, how to cure the hoarseness in your voice when one sings for a bit too long? Good question. So let me answer that then. I mean, it's such a broad topic and there's only so much I can cover in this short space of time with you. But all I would say is think about preparation. So if you're going to do any singing, you've got to be preparing your body a day in advance at least. A day in advance. When I say prepare, I mean hydration, as I'm sure you've probably listened to the most recent podcast on hydration. You know, the point of being dehydrated, it's going to take at least 4 or 5 hours for water to enter into your larynx, and that's just entering into your larynx. That's not necessarily repairing it and getting it into a good state of hydration. So if you abuse your body in any way, whether that's mental, physical, any type of abuse you can think of, if you abuse your body, you are abusing your voice. So if you can be the healthiest possible individual, with the best eating habits, the best drinking habits, the best sleeping habits, the best way to care for your levels of stress, you are essentially going to be a much better singer. So if you sing for too long and you start to feel any ache in your neck, in your throat, then think about taking rest. You must have heard of vocal rest. It's really important, and the reason for that is when we expire air, that air's flowing from the lungs through the trachea, which is the windpipe, enters into the larynx, okay, where the vocal cords sit. As that air begins to funnel against adducted vocal cords, so that's when they close, that air begins to funnel and begins to pressurize directly underneath the vocal cords, and that's referred to as subglottic pressure. Break that down for you quickly. The glottis is the term that is used literally just for the space in between your vocal cords. So the area below the glottis, in between the vocal cords, is the subglottis. The area above is the supraglottis. Subglottic pressure is ever present. It's always there when we talk, when we sing, but it can develop and it can become more and more intense. And if that happens, so if we abuse the vocal cords, if we sing too loud or just sing for too long, what happens is we get signals sent from the brain to the muscles surrounding the vocal cords, and then those muscles constrict, become tight. And that's when we get the onset of vocal fatigue, and that's when you begin to feel tired. And this, as I've done in my second video, if you've signed up to the website and you've now watched that, you'll know that I spoke in detail about how that for me has been like one of the biggest epiphanies for me as a singer. So I've had to kind of like go back and study and relearn and recondition myself. And actually, if you listen to the first Tesseract album, I'll be very honest and open and say I made a ton of mistakes. You might say, well, if you like that album and you think, it did well for us, it kickstarted the band, you might think, well, you must have been doing something right because it sounded great. But in actual fact, I was singing with bad technique, bad breathing techniques, bad posture, didn't look great on stage. I was writing things that were too difficult for me. So yeah, it's you can hear the difference between one and say Polaris, and even one and, I don't know, Guiding Lights with Sky Harbor. I started to pull back from the extreme side of singing a little bit, purposefully, so I could become a better singer, so that if I wanted to, I could then reintroduce screaming a little bit if I wanted to, but know how to do it and cope with it and deal with it in the right way. So every album I've put out has sounded slightly different because I'm always exploring new avenues in my voice, trying new tricks out, and looking for that tonal development, and character development. So yeah, it's a constant development. Okay, I don't know what I was talking about because I've gone off on a tangent. Nick, by the way, if you're listening to this and you hear the questions that I'm reading and I go off on a tangent and you think I've gone too far, just pull me back in so I can answer it properly.
Actually, there's I'm just monitoring the YouTube stream as well, and there's a question here from somebody that I just wanted to pick out. I thought it was quite a good question. An unusual name, so I'll leave the name out.
All right.
It's
Okay.
greetings from Poland, Dan. How do you balance your personal life with professional band, multiple projects, guest appearances, etc., all at the same time?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
It is a very good question. It's hard. I'll be very honest. I mean, let's just say it used to be harder, and I've actually got kids now, so I've found a way to to make it work. I mean, I have to say that I have the most amazing wife. Uh, my wife Emma is incredibly supportive, and if you're in a partnership with somebody, being in a band, being an artist, is likely to fail for you if you don't have the right kind of relationship. And that's just hand on heart. That's how I feel about it. If it wasn't for Emma being so supportive, I really don't know whether I could have done this and remained in the same relationship. You know, it's just it's a very hard balance to find. I think being intentional with your diary, being a well organized individual is absolutely is key to that success. And I use just I've got a MacBook, so I just use the calendar that's on MacBook, and I'm very intentional with my diary. I teach quite a lot. A lot. I mean, I'm sure there are students that I teach that have joined into the webinar today. Um, Sometimes things get a bit hectic and we have to juggle lessons around. There are sometimes students, last minute have to, can't make a lesson. We've got to change things around. So you've got to be on your tiptoes a little bit. But it's just finding time in the day or making a list of, things that you're ticking off and try and achieve something every day. Someone once said to me, you can't do everything in a day. There comes a point when you've just got to close the book and then finish. And go to the next day. But yeah, just be intentional with your schedule and your diary. I think financially it was very difficult as well because I used to be a police officer. For people that don't know that, did it for a long time. Joined at 18, did it for 8 years. Um, while I was with Emma, and I used to, do a day shift, 7 till 4 or 7 till 5, and drive straight after that down to I don't know, the south of England, which is like a 3 hour, 4 hour in rush hour traffic, just to have a rehearsal. Anyone heard of the band First Signs of Frost? That's how I used to operate in that band. I would travel from work, go down there, get there for 8 p.m., um, rehearse for like 3 hours as a band, travel home, get home at like 2 in the morning, and go straight back to work again. And I did that for a long, long time, and that was very taxing. But I was a bit younger and I had a bit more freedom, and it worked. But ultimately, I knew that I could not do both. So what I had to do was take a big when I'd reached a point and I managed to, work with Tesseract, and we recorded the album. We had an offer come in via Century Media Records. That was the point when I said, "Okay, I'm leaving the police force. I'm done. Big step of faith, and I'm just going to go for it." And that first year after leaving the police force, I probably made about £5,000 in that first year as a self-employed individual. So I ultimately had to make massive cutbacks, learn how to really save my money, budget shop, um, budget for everything. Uh, that was really, really tricky. And actually, one of the main reasons why I left Tesseract was I got to a point when I was really struggling, going to America for 8 weeks, coming back with not a lot of money. Because ultimately, as a metal band on your first record deal, it's not going to be amazing, and it wasn't in terms of financial backing. So we didn't make a lot of money. And I think as an artist today, you have to really think about um, how to stay afloat, how to make an income. And for me, that was all about vocal coaching. That was my thing. Being a singer, teaching other people things that I was learning, that was a great avenue for me. And look where we are now. So that's my survival as an artist. But that first year, I was delivery driving. I was working in a bar. This is while I was in Tesseract as well. I was working in a clothes shop. I was actually working in a wedding band as well. Loads of different things to sustain this lifestyle. Anyway, okay, I don't want to go on too long, but dude, be very intentional with your diary. And if you're not making a lot of money, make cutbacks, but always keep pushing forward. Keep focused on the goal, because I did, and I made it. Hopefully, I can attest to the fact that perseverance will pay off. Um, okay, I'm going to need another question now. There's so many coming in. Okay, let me just have a little scroll down. 79 people.
Let me just jump in a minute just while you check out the questions. We got quite a lot of people here. There's about 80 people on the webinar, which is a great turnout. A lot of questions tend to be with regards to vocal type of things, you know. I'm guessing there's a lot of singers who are here as well as fans of your music. I just want to mention to everybody that is here, obviously, we're rolling out the launch for the vocal coaching website. A lot of you will be students of Dan already. A lot of you will be aware of it. What it's going to be is we have a core content library of mostly video lessons with practice videos, all kinds of stuff like that. Predominantly video based, and you'll get access to the core content library, and that's something that will be updated regularly over time, you know. So you've got this huge library in different categories of different material that you can study and learn at your own pace. But in addition to that, this webinar platform is going to be a regular thing that Dan is going to do just for the members. This is a public webinar now, but it's going to be just for the members of the site, where, you know, Dan can answer questions in the exact same format. So, you know, there's a lot of questions flying by now, a lot of people who may not get their question answered. So it may be that you might want to check out the online vocal coaching website. Head over to the link. I've pinged the link at the top, so anybody who can't see it, it's daniel-tompkins.com. There's a bunch of free stuff on there, you know, some blogs, podcasts. There's a free ebook. You can sign up for the launch, and there's a 3-part video series that's being released at the moment. Don't worry if you've missed the first one or the second one. Doesn't matter where you jump in the sequence, you'll get access to the other videos as well. So it may be that, you know, I would urge everybody here to check that out if you haven't already. We're going to be releasing we call it the open cart, where everybody will be able to sign up as a member. It's going to be very affordable for the amount of material that is going to be presented within the site, and like I said, built over time, and as well as these interactive webinar sessions with Dan. There's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So I would urge everybody that's here, that's a singer or wannabe singer. Is that the right term? Wannabe singer? Aspiring singer? Yeah, that's better. Aspiring singer's better. Yeah. Head over to the site and check it out.
Cool. Right, I'm going to take another question then. I've just seen one pop up by Gian Matteo. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong and I'm just missing something. I apologize. As an aspiring singer, there you go, Nick. I'm making music, but I'm having a big writer's block and I can't get out of it. Have you ever had writer's block? If so, how do you get out of it? From time to time, yes. But I have to say that exploring new avenues of my voice and trying new things out has always kept me feeling fresh. So if I'm always discovering something new in my voice and I pursue it and I try and put it into the music I'm writing, that kind of drives me and makes me feel quite motivated. And I think, obviously, you need to be motivated in order to produce the goods as a writer. I mean, also, I do a lot of work within these 4 walls, but I also do a lot of travel. So I might have a really bad day and I'm in here and I'm like not feeling very, you know, inspired. I might go out for a drive, or I might leave music. You know, you can have ideas that I've had for a while, and I leave them to one side, and then I'll perhaps have a big train journey to, you know, I had a train journey the other day to go get a Russian visa for Tesseract's shows coming up. And on that journey, sat looking out the window with my earphones in, and I had a fresh perspective on that music. And it's all about having that fresh perspective. So in any way you can, find that stimulus, whether it's taking a break and watching a movie, listening to music that you really feel quite passionate about, getting out into the countryside and, you know, getting some fresh air and looking out onto the awesome, you know, aesthetics that you can see. And I also do a lot of fitness as well. So, you know, for that emotional release, which will really help you in terms of being inspired as a singer. Get out there, get fit. I go for runs, take part in 5 and 10k events, and the guys in Tesseract laugh so hard when I say this, and I'm the only one in Tesseract that actually works out. But I play squash, and I have a friend, and we train quite a lot. And I've just recently joined a squash team, and squash is an amazing sport. So, dude, you've just got to look for that stimulus. Don't get stuck in front of a computer in one room. Get out there, put things to talk to one side, come back to them. Yeah, it's just about keeping active, keeping your mind, free and inspired. All right, cool. That's that question. Okay, Kieran. Hey, Dan, do you think it's possible to become a skilled singer without in-person coaching with no prior experience? Yes, I do. Because I kind of did that. And if I wish that I would have had the opportunity to have something like this, if I'm being very honest, somebody that I could relate to, especially being a rock and metal singer. For me, by the way, learning to sing is not about genre for me. It's just about learning to control your voice and understanding it very simply. And then you can take those skills and sing whatever genre you like. So don't get bogged down with finding a vocal coach that is specific to any genre. Don't be put off by traditional singing. Don't be put off by jazz singing. They all have something to offer. And again, as someone that has been through it, and I know that there are so many perspectives out there on singing, and that is born from the fact that top vocal experts in vocal pedagogy still, to degrees, differ on how certain and how the voice operates. So that gives people a free license to come out as a commercial, coach and say, "I've got the best method. I do this. Listen to this. I'm brilliant." Okay, that's great. Go away, listen to that perspective, but don't get bogged down and stuck with one person. And I'm saying that even as a vocal coach that's got this platform that I'm offering to people, you don't have to just come to this one platform. Always seek perspective as much as you possibly can. But yes, you can definitely become a skilled singer without in-person coaching. And this is actually, you will learn a lot of great things from this website. I've done pre-recorded videos of correct breathing techniques. I've even gone to the extent of writing down and delivering videos that are very detailed on a scientific level. We talk about anatomy, different muscle groups, how they operate, how they interact with each other when we're breathing. So the whole diaphragmatic breathing, we go into a lot of detail. And we've got images that pop up on the screen, and it's very interactive, and people learn in different ways. So you've got blogs that you can read and digest, you can listen to and watch a video, you can see me giving examples, and then go away and do it. I would say though that don't neglect to have in-person coaching, and I'll be very honest that I will be offering the opportunity to have some one-to-one time as well. So like, imagine you are at the other end of the camera and I'm here. We can sing together. You can stand there and sing, and I can give you guidance. We can, the cameras, as long as you've got a good camera and a decent microphone, I guarantee I can help you out. And I'm sure loads of my other students can give testimony to the fact that, online lessons are really effective. I mean, to be in person with somebody has a lot of benefits. Like I have people come and visit me here in the studio. We have the mirror behind me. To actually be hands-on with somebody when it comes to like diaphragmatic breathing, for example, and to actually feel someone's ribs and try and get them to push outwards and expand them. That's a technique. You can't beat that. That's brilliant. But as long as you have the understanding, you've got the input, you can go away and make some great advances yourself. And again, I've been there and I've done it. All right, I'll take another question. Let's have a look. Okay, this is interesting. I've not read it, but I've just seen someone say nodules. Okay, Ricky. Hi, Dan. I've recently had problems with vocal nodules. I'm sorry to hear that. Currently coming to the end of the recovery stages, but I'm nervous about a few tours coming up at the end of the year. Any advice for getting back into it with confidence? Now, I don't know whether you've had surgery or whether they've disappeared by themselves. More often than not, when you have nodules, they have to be operated on. but they can disappear by themselves. And nodules, for anyone that doesn't know, are hardened parts of the vocal cords that come in pairs, and they basically block the vocal cords so they can't connect properly, and you can lose your voice. It's very hard to sing, can be quite painful. Yeah, nodules are nasty. So if you've been through that, I mean, it's like any illness, any serious illness. You know, you're going to need a big recovery period. All I would say is be very careful, because once you've had it, you've got to also understand the reasons why you potentially could have got it. And I guarantee if you've had nodules, that's down to vocal overuse, maybe vocal abuse in terms of pushing too hard, singing with your foot on the gas pedal at 100%. You know, that pressure, and too much of that pressure will lead to something like this, which is why for me it was a massive epiphany, is like understanding pressure. All I would say to you is be careful, be gentle with your voice, and go to my second video in that group of 3 if you've signed up. Listen to what I'm saying about pressure and semi-occluded vocal exercises, because when you warm up, you should be warming up in the same way that any sporting athlete would, in terms of, you know, gently getting the blood flowing, stretching out muscles, okay, then having your activity, and then at the end of that activity, warming those muscles down again. So when you have a warm-up routine, you have to have a warm into the warm-up routine and a warm down. And it's these semi-occluded exercises that take pressure away from the voice. Things like lip rolls, tongue trills, just vocal fry can also help as well. Sustaining a vocal fry, nice and relaxed. Beatboxing, or the subby element of a beatbox, to a degree, can really help as well. And anything generally that recirculates a bit of airflow. So if you use like fricative consonants, so pardon me, I'm so sorry, I recently had my dinner. Anything like a V, for example, a V or a Z, or Z, or a Z, or a all of those exercises actually make you feel free. I don't know whether you can feel that yourself if you make that kind of sound, or listen back and make those sounds, either to a scale or just sweeping them through your range, or just, you know, sustaining them. You will feel an element of relaxation in the throat, and it's a decompressing exercise. So for someone that's had nodules, being very mindful of how much pressure you're putting on your voice is crucial. So I hope that answers your question. If you want any more in-depth advice, I mean, there's plenty of resources you can find online. But if you want to talk about it one-on-one, I'm more than happy, and I'm available for that. Okay, I'm just looking for other questions. So I'm still looking. Okay, there's one from a guy called Andrew that says, "Hi Dan, I've always had an issue with intonation, not too severe, just a few cents off." Oh, it's just people are commenting, and I've completely lost the question now. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's completely disappeared. I'm so sorry. All I would say about pitching issues is that you have to think about, if it's just a few cents, it's probably not your ears. It's probably not ear training. Well, it might be. Repetition is the way forward with that. And if you have any music software, when I say repetition, I mean scale work. Or if you're learning your own material, maybe you've not learnt it to the nth degree, so that it's completely intuitive. Singing has got to be, you know, completely intuitive to be natural and performed well. It could be your breathing or posture. It could be absolutely anything. This is the kind of thing where I would actually need to kind of like see you and listen to you a little bit. But let me just say, when you're in the website and you're looking through the breathing section, pay close attention to the posture side of it. So learning to have correct posture, because if you remember anything from this webinar, remember this: if you don't stand right, that means that you're not conserving muscular energy. And if you don't stand right and you're not conserving that muscular energy, then your breathing is going to be inhibited on some level. So if you don't stand right, you can't breathe right. If you can't breathe right, you can't sing right. You can't sing right. You can't perform right. So a lot of issues do stem back to posture and breathing, and it's a big area that a lot of singers neglect. People can have a lot of natural talent, like I did, and I was able to get through what I was doing and think I had a good voice. But I'd really neglected the breathing aspect of it, diaphragmatic breathing and posture. And as soon as I understood that standing correct made that much of a difference, it put me right on track again. So that could also be an issue for you, dude, in terms of intonation. The other thing I could suggest to you is actually, if you've got any music software, I've got Logic. Logic's got a very cool inbuilt function, which is flex pitch. You can record yourself singing a scale and analyze it. You know, filter it through pitch correction. Listen to what's happening on a fine detail, fine tune it, and then try and sing along to that fine tuned version. And then you can really hear those little inaccuracies in your voice. And again, repetition. Uh, you've got to get everything right. So mental, physical, physiological. Once you're standing right, breathing right, singing with the right techniques, and you're not thinking about it, and it's all intuitive, that's when you will blossom as a singer. Far too many of us think too much about it, and I can I can see the dilemma with that, because as a beginner singer, there's a lot to think about. But it's just about training on one thing at a time. You know, don't overload yourself. I get singers that come to me, and we're working on things, and you can see the mind block. The mind block just kicks in, and things break down, and they're losing the rhythm of the scale, or the breathing just falls apart. And I'm like, okay, let's break it down. Just focus on your breathing this time. Then once they've got the hang of that, okay, now let's think about it being more in pitch. And it's just like that step-by-step process, one thing at a time, small bites of the elephant. There you go. I got it in there. Okay, Nick, are we still good?
Yes, we're still good. Just a quick question. Actually, this one came from YouTube, I think. Someone's asking, what in-ears have you got there?
Okay, these are Shure 215s, which are the cheaper version of the 535. I think they're the model down. They're really quite affordable, actually. They're not that expensive. I mean, I don't have ultimate ears or anything like that. I may move to something like that soon, or get some moldeds, but these are just budget Shure 215s.
Cool.
As a singer, for me, I find them really good, because the high end in them cuts through a lot more. The 535s have a lot more low, mid, and bass to them, and for me, that kind of gets in the way. I want to hear my vocals crystal clear, because I actually use these when I'm on stage with Tesseract as well.
Cool.
So yeah, how's YouTube looking, Nick? We've got many questions coming in there.
Let me just.
I'm going to keep looking through this and find some more questions.
Let me just find one. This is from Mark Wilson. Mark asks, how can you make the process of switching from harsh to clean vocals smoother?
That's breathing. That's all to do with breath control. Definitely. And pressure. I mean, I am going to develop a course that can help people with that. But in essence, you got to think about playing around with the different types of scream that you have, and playing around with glottic stops on the end of it. So you're going to scream and just stop, and then scream, and slowly allow your voice to blend into a pitch. Really kind of prolong the note that you're screaming and hold it and then try and blend it slowly and control that sensation of entering into the pitch. But again, breathing does come into it. That whip in the diaphragm when you're compressing air on that exhale, where all the power comes from. That's what you have to initially activate. My obliques are contracting. Okay, these are one of the main respiratory groups of muscles that we have. A lot of people think that it's your abs, and they don't. They don't play hardly any role in respiration at all. It's your obliques. When you get that intra-abdominal pressure that builds up, like when you go to lift a heavy object, or if you go to hold your breath, you see what's happening here when I hold my breath? There's a big movement, and that pressure that you feel, you should feel an element of that when you're biting into the presence and the attack of screaming. And then it's all about sustaining that airflow, being able to control breath for as long as you can, and then flowing into the note and going in and out and in and out. It's just about repetition, because your muscles are going to learn a new behavior, and it's going to take a long time for them to get used to it. And there's a lot of things happening. There's coordination of breathing, muscular activity in the larynx. Yeah, it's quite a tricky thing. It's a very tricky thing, but again, that takes heaps of practice. Heaps. But it is achievable. It is. Okay. Question from Elliot. How many one-to-one lessons did you have with your vocal coach before you felt confident with your vocal ability? I initially had, I think this has been about 2021. I think I said that in another video. I had lessons with a traditional coach. And this is back in the day when, to find a vocal coach, I had to flick through the yellow pages, because, there was no one advertising on the internet. MySpace had just been born, that kind of thing. Finding someone local was quite tricky. So the only thing that was available was traditional. There was nobody out there that did or offered something more extreme. No one really had any platform to show people how to learn to scream. You just kind of self-learned it. So that's why a lot of people made hella mistakes. But I was with her for about 6 months. Lady from Nottingham, cannot remember her name at all, unfortunately. And we started to do lots of traditional technique, postural breathing. But on the performance side of it, we weren't singing my kind of music. We were doing West Side Story, theatrical productions. And to be very honest, it felt very strange to me. It was an alien world that I didn't have too much time for, because I was focused on rock and metal, and I didn't understand what was happening. How was that going to translate? So I stopped after a while. I felt like I'd learned a little bit, enough, and then continued on my own journey foolishly, and didn't have any more lessons for a long time. And that was a big mistake. So if your question is how long is it going to take, how long's a piece of string? You've got to go with it for as long as you feel like you need to. But again, chat to other people that have had lessons with me. This is a community. Get online, get on Facebook, chat about it. My students will tell you themselves how many lessons they've had, how they feel they've developed. And I hope that they'll also, when they get on the website, and we have this community for singers, and the forum where you can develop your own, your own little profile, your avatar, start talking to people. Community is the way forward with this, big time. Okay, time's ticking on, but I'm going to answer some more questions. I'm very sorry if I didn't get around to answering your question. We will be doing more of this, and if you go to the website, you can ask questions on the website, and I'm more than happy if I've got some free time to jump on there and answer away. Nick, are you still there?
I'm here, yes.
Yeah. Did you know on the homepage we used to have like just a big comments section at the bottom? Is that still not? Is that still around anywhere?
It is. It's on. Let me just check right now. Give me one moment. It's on one of the. It's on the podcast, the blog, It's on a few of the pages on the website, not all of them. At the bottom, there's like a Facebook chat thing, and people can ask questions on there. So,
Do you remember we
it's
had a really big one though? There was like a massive section of comments. It was like on the homepage. Has that all just disappeared now, or?
I'm just trying to find it now.
Just trying to think where can people go really to ask questions. I mean, I guess you can go to the podcast page and the blog page, and there's sections at the bottom where you can ask questions that are linked to Facebook. I can just chime in. In fact, there's a few people that have already done that.
Yeah. It's the podcast or the blog page underneath some of the posts. Every single post, there's an opportunity where people can type in a question. So yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to look for another Tesseract. Another I saw the word Tesseract. Another comment to answer. What do you? Okay, this is Abbas or Abbas. What do you recommend singers do to keep your voice from tiring out during your set? Is that hydration issue? Not necessarily. Could be an issue. Again, it could be a whole host of different things. Stress can play an issue if you've got any mental worries in the back of your mind. Nervousness, obviously, anxiety, which can build up from loads of different areas. You've just got to identify why you're feeling the way you are. What has your lifestyle been like? What have you eaten that day or the day before? What have you drank? Analyze your lifestyle and refine it. That could be one issue. It may be that you're abusing the vocal cords. So when you're going to hit high notes, your larynx is splatting. So thyroid prominence, which is your Adam's apple, directly behind that is where your vocal cords are. When you raise the larynx, you generally find that notes become quite squeezed and bright. So if I was to give you like just a forward closed vowel, yeah, that's right. E, 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 E. You can hear that. There's a tonal sound to that, which is quite weird and nasty. E. People tend to do that on an E, for example, and that's an abuse of the vocal cords. With the larynx, E, it lifts upwards. You have to try and avoid that because that's an abuse of your vocal cords, and that's going to really develop pressure, unwanted pressure, that's going to make you very, very tired very quickly. Think about yawning into the notes very slightly, whatever you're singing, especially as you go higher. And for a lot of people, when we're lifting the pitch of a phrase or lifting the pitch in general, we have this whole psychological thing that's going on where our eyes are looking upwards. We're thinking that the pitch is raising, so the head lifts, and then singing in these areas becomes very difficult and it's hard. So you feel like you have to exert more pressure, and before you know it, all this tension's built up and the chin's lifted. I'm very guilty of it. I've done it in the past as well. We have to think about this, reverse the psychology. So when you go higher in your range, think quieter and think relax. Relaxation is a massive part of singing. As soon as you can get this into your head as someone that's struggling in a live performance, relax into everything that you're doing on a muscular level. So the muscles in your neck and the shoulders and chest, your arms, your back, if you have tension there, it's going to inhibit the process of singing in some way. You have to feel like you're floating. Float around the stage. You can still have, aggressive looking movements, but it's more about having that mental sensation of relaxation and not having that tension build up. Because that again can lead to shallow breathing. It can lead to abuse of the vocal cords. It can lead to strain, etc., etc., etc. So one thing you can do aside from that is whenever you've got an instrumental break, whenever you've got a gap in between songs, is take a moment to breathe, enjoy that little bit of break you've got, and do semi-occluded vocal exercises. So if you've got, like I said to you before, all of those lip rolls, those tongue trills, humming, fricative consonants, v, z, zh, v, beatboxing. Vocal fry is brilliant for taking pressure off my voice. Yeah, all those types of things. Do them when you have the opportunity. Turn away from the crowd and do it, or you can be clever and actually be facing the crowd and still be going. No one can see you doing it, but you're caring for your voice. Or vocal silence. Rest as much as possible. But really, it's just about making sure, honestly, as soon as you can get your posture right, your breathing right, you're going to be winning. You know, and not abusing the vocal cords and understanding pressure. Those things. On the website, I go into a lot of detail on this because it's my thing. It's something that I've struggled with for a long time, and I feel like people can really relate to it, especially in rock and metal, because people tend to be more aggressive in the way that they sing. Pressure kills rock and metal singers. You've only got one of the best examples of someone that perhaps doesn't sing with the most amazing technique, but is very relaxed when he screams, is Jens Kidman from Meshuggah. If you've ever seen him, when he screams, he doesn't move around a lot. You can see his relaxed posture, and he dangles his arms. His left arm's dangling like this. And it's like, but his whole body is just loose and flowing, and that enables him to not abuse and squeeze too much. He's relaxing. He knows that's the way forward for him, relaxing. And that's his thing. But what's there? Relaxation. For any type of singing, you've got to be relaxed. Guys, I'm really sorry if I didn't get around to answering your question, but that is the first webinar. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've loved doing this. I love teaching people. I do still do the one-to-one stuff aside from the site. But yeah, I really think you're going to get a lot out of it. So make sure you stick around and try it out. At least try it out to get that perspective that I spoke about earlier. Because again, singing is truly about perspective. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to pass you back on to Nick now. And as soon as he's finished, we'll say goodbye.
Cool. Again, thanks to everyone for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. This is going to be something that's going to be regular inside the website for anybody who signs up as a member. It's going to be a private group. So, for those of you who are planning on joining, you will get the opportunity to do this on a regular basis if you do become a member on the website. And that's it, really. That's all really I have to say, apart from, if you haven't already, head over to daniel-tompkins.com/join. There's a little video on there, a little trailer for what's to come. We're in the middle of a launch right now. Nothing's really seen publicly. I know there's probably a lot of people who are probably a bit confused. They can't really see anything. We're driving everybody to this join page. Sign up on there. You'll be sent the videos. You'll be sent all of the information of how to sign up, all the offers that are going to be coming in the next week. Like I said, we're in the middle of this launch process at the moment. And we just, for anyone who might be curious as to why we do it like this, we don't want the server to explode so we do it. It's little stages, baby steps at a time. So we're just letting people who've signed up, just giving access to those who signed up for the mailing list, again, just to do it in stages versus just a big thing. And it allows Dan to get the feel for it, do things like this webinar and just kind of ease into it a little bit. Because, we don't want to overwhelm ourselves with too much all at once. So yeah, lastly, just head over to daniel-tompkins.com/join. Sign up there. There's a little sign up box on the page, and everything will be sent to your email. So I would urge everybody who's interested to do that. And even if you're not interested in signing up for the website itself, there's some free content on there. We're giving away a lot of free stuff with more to come. So yeah, that's it really. So again, thanks everybody for being here. See you later.
Thanks guys. See you later. Bye.